The theme of MIXX this year is fueling interactive advertising's creative revolution. What does creativity in interactive mean to you?
We think that creativity is the key to building business, and there was some debate, I think, early on in our company whether creativity mattered as much in the interactive space as it does in sight, sound, and motion environments such as television. And we continue to learn with the data that we're seeing that creative drives close to 70% of the business impact on whether a brand has success building their business or not. And as a result, creativity is hugely important to the long-term viability of our brands and of our company. And as a result, we are focused on unleashing creative revolution with our agency partners in an effort to build our brands in ways that we've never been able to do before.
Everyone's saying how the roles of marketers, agencies, and publishers has changed or even merged in many respects. How has this change impacted your job?
We are working very hard to try to help our agencies and our brand teams and our own functions inside of P&G realize that brand building is more of a multifunctional sport than it's ever been before. The role that our external relations or public relations group can play in building brands with all the tools available from a social standpoint, the ability of our market research function to be much more involved in the dynamic development of creative work through real-time feedback from the audience. Interactive has made brand building far more multifunctional, and we're trying to give permission to our internal functions and to our agencies to realize that if you leverage all the talents that are available to you from all the different functions and skill sets that you have, you could build a far deeper and more meaningful brand if you expand the definition of brand building. So we're trying to unleash that thinking. It's slow to change a big organization, but that's the challenge every day.
Can you tell us what you think is most important about MIXX and the IAB to the interactive industry?
I think MIXX does a wonderful job bringing the industry together and raising and elevating the importance of digital, and particularly I think there's three key things. Number one is I think they're largely responsible for elevating the importance of creativity in interactive advertising. Number two is I think they drive innovation in the industry. And number three is I think they drive measurement and accountability. And for doing those things, I think the industry is better off. And I certainly hope people are learning from what they're seeing today.
What's the single most compelling trend into interactive media?
Single most compelling trend, I would argue that as we get bombarded with the availability of technology, right? The technology is unbelievable in what it can do. And I talked a lot about in my talk earlier how just because you can doesn't mean you should. I think one of the most important trends for the consumer and for the industry will be how to unlock creativity by what you leave out as opposed to what you put in. So just because a homepage can be a takeover and a rollover and a click here and a click that doesn't mean you necessarily should. The true brilliance and creativity will be how to be wonderfully simple when you have such a diverse palette of technology to work from, and the desire will be to put all the razzle-dazzle into the advertising. So I don't know if it's a trend yet. I hope it will become one. But if a minimalist trend started, I'd be very, very excited.
What does today's consumer want? And I know that's not an easy question.
You know, I would argue that in today's economic times, I think all consumers are probably longing for a little faith, a little hope, and a little trust. And that may sound a little hokey and a little highbrow, but people want somebody who's going to tell them it's going to be okay. They've lost belief in a lot of systems that we had taken for granted, whether it's the stock market, whether it's your pension, whether it be what the government stands for. But a lot of things that we've taken to be true have been shaken to their foundation. And I think that brands can play a role in establishing trust for the consumer. And if we treat that trust with the utmost respect and do right by the consumer, they will do right by us. But I think brands can play a role in restoring trust and faith, and that can have an impact on people's lives.
How does using interactive media impact on your bottom line?
We continue to find that interactive media is a hugely productive channel for connecting with our consumers. If you think about where our consumers spend their time today, and as we learn more and more about how to be effective in connecting with them in a meaningful way, we continue to find data that suggests that we can have more impact on our bottom line through interactive advertising than we're having in some of our other channels. Now there's far greater variance in the outcomes. We have some great interactive advertising and some not so great interactive advertising. It's not as much of a science as we've made television over the years. But as we learn more about how the channel works, we will have more success and hopefully even heighten the productivity of our advertising in the space. But right now, it's wonderfully productive for our brands relative to their alternatives.